Live from New York, it's time to get behind the wheel and drive home your best deal with another podcast episode of Never Get Taken for a Ride Again, where we stop car dealers dead in their tracks from trying to blow smoke up your tailpipe every time you go to buy or lease a new vehicle. Now, your host, professional car buying expert, and the car buyer's advocate, Paul Maloney.
Okay, we're all good to go then. Welcome to the show. Happy New Year. This is going to be a show we're going to have every Thursday night at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. tonight. We're sorry about that. But in any case, like I say, the show must go on. So once again, welcome. Happy New Year to our new podcast, Never Get Taken for a Ride Again. Each week we're going to be having clients, customers on the phone, or sometimes on the video here, except for tonight, because why I'm going to have in a few seconds. Somebody I've been working in the auto industry with for over 20 plus years. They are they're not a former. They currently are a sales manager, finance manager, and they've been in the business for a long, long time. So what I'll do is we'll bring up Bob, the car sales manager, and we're going to find out exactly what happens when you go to buy and lease a car that you've never had the chance to even know the insides about before. So what we'll do is I'm going to bring Bob up here right now. 1 second. And boom, we have Bob in a silhouette. Believe me, he's there. I know he's there. Okay, Bob, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you got the curtains drawn so nobody can look at you, right? And there's nobody aiming a gun at your head, right?
That's correct. Absolutely.
Okay, I just 1 second.
No worries.
Yes, look at your comments. Okay, perfect. All right. So, okay, Bob. So, we've known each other for many, many years in the auto industry. And, we've talked about this a long time, for many years now, how the car sales industry has changed ever since we've got to the internet and all the access people have that they think they have the right information. But unfortunately, when they go to the dealership, as we all know, they only have half the information, or what they do have is rendered useless to them. Would that be pretty much a good thing to sum it up and say to start it with?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, all the advertisements on any manufacturer you look at today, there's specials for this, rebates for that. You have to qualify for 8 different things, which it makes you look nice and easy when you go into the dealership. Once you get there and you find out what all these other fees are, that you don't qualify for certain rebates, it just sets you back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how we've known over the years is that, when people go online today, they go to these websites and they say here, get your best price with this, bring in this certificate to whatever. And as we know, when people used to bring those certificates in, I'm sure that they still do where you currently work. How do you deal with those people when they walk in and say, hey, I'm Mary from so-and-so. I'm here to see Bob, the sales manager, and I got this coupon from untruecar.com, somewhere like that. And they say, this is the price I got. This is what we want. How can you help me so I can get to this price? How do you address those people? And what would you know straight off the bat and say, how are we going to deal with them?
Well, what we do normally is we would actually get all our customers' information first, find out where they had supposedly got this information from, and then sit down and try and pull it up in front of them. And 9 out of 10 times, it's not the proper information they put in, so the information they're getting back is untrue as well.
Right. So when you try to explain this to the customers and say, look, Mary, look, I appreciate you coming with all the information and everything else, but unfortunately, the information that you got is not going to help you, to get to this price, because this is left out of it. This is left out. You didn't ask for this. And they're very vague when they go online and they think they have all the information, but they don't. And then how do you explain that to them when they're so dead set on saying, no, we're right. The buyer's always right. The customer's always right.
Well, you know what? In most cases, Paul, the customer is always right, but we actually go and show them where they retrieved the information, and they feel hurt by it. They get a bad taste in their mouth for a dealership. They want to go to the next guy and see what the next guy is going to do for them.
Right.
And you know what? The same thing happens. It happens after dealership, after dealership, after dealership, and then they get to a point where the customer can't buy the car for the price that they were quoted 4 dealerships ago.
Exactly.
Everybody's breaking their legs, as we call it in the business, and they can't purchase the car for the price that they were told they could.
Right. So at that point, I used to call them like kangaroo car hopper buyers, because, they'd hop from dealership to dealership and then finally bounce back to the one they started out at, because they're so tired, and it's normally the closest one to where they lived, and go like, you know what? Well, look, just give us a bloody car. We'll sign in to get out of here. We can't take this anymore. It's either that, or we just, lay us down the middle of the road and use this as a speed bump, because, at that point, it's not easy. I know what it is. I know what it's like when I go places and I go buy things, not just, wouldn't be cars, but just in things in general, like TVs or things, you run into the same thing. But what I'm trying to ask you is that when people come in and they have these prices and they say, you know what, great, we've agreed on that price. How is that person going to get out of there thinking that I've come in with this price and I'm going to go out with that price? Because
That's never going to happen.
Right, and why is that? We don't you don't close or sign out the buyer's order because they haven't met who yet?
Yeah, they haven't met the finance officer.
The pimp daddy of the car dealership, right?
The finance's job is to recoup any losses for the dealership and to make money.
That's right.
The bottom line.
Well, look, profit's not a dirty word in any means for any business.
Profit is good to be made. That's why we're all in business.
So when they get into the car, they get into the finance manager's office. Okay, they've all sat down. They're all excited now, and the business manager's sitting down there waiting. And says, "Okay, next, come on in, take a seat. This is gonna take a little while." How many of those people now go out on the payment or the price that they thought they initially came in on and go home with that price? Out of a percentage of 100, what percentage of those people leave with that exact number without seeing the finance manager?
Maybe 10%.
10%, right. So
90% of people are going to buy protection for their vehicle. They're going to go up in payment for whatever reason, whether it's credit or term, money down. There's so many things that revolve around that. And
it's very easy to switch people from a finance to a lease by, okay, where do you want your monthly payment to be? Because what's the number one thing all car buyers make as a wrong decision when they go to purchase a vehicle is that what percent
payment they want to be at.
Right. And how many of those people out of that, say 100%, would know the actual selling price of the vehicle?
Probably, again, you maybe go with that 20%.
If they're lucky and if they're educated. Right, because otherwise they're not going to be able to determine what the actual selling price of the vehicle is until you're in the finance manager's office, okay, and you've got the big, long contract, and by the time they come signed to go over all the necessary paperwork, as far as a down payment here, your taxes include, motor vehicles, whatever the other fees are included, it's the very last thing, or if we try not to, is show the actual person on the contract, here's the actual selling price of the vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt.
Because if they did find out what the actual selling price was on the vehicle, what would probably happen at that stage?
There would be no deal consummated.
Right. They'd be gone. They'd be like, faster than Carl Lewis run the 100-meter sprint. But I mean, that's the nature of the beast. But how we get around that is by not so much telling them up front, but putting everything in the actual payments, because after all, everybody has a payment that they want to stay pretty much on, and they want to write a check for every month. And we would say, like, look, no matter if we can get to your payment, does it really matter? Would you like to take the car home today? And we start nodding their heads, and what do 90% of people say?
They say yes.
Absolutely. And it's not until they get home the next day and, emotional drunkenness of being intoxicated on numbers has finally wears off, and then they wake up on the corner of Buyer's Remorse Boulevard and Sucker Street and go, how did this happen? What happened? And they call the dealer, and the dealer says, what?
You bought a car, you drove it off, it's your car.
Right. Well, is that your signature on the contract? Yes, it is. Is this the selling price? Is this the VIN number? Is this your license? That everything else is? Well, yes, it is. And then what's the last thing we're going to say to them before they leave the dealership?
Thank you for your business.
Exactly. And it's not like Macy's or, a department store where you can take things back and take a refund. It doesn't work that way. But what I want to point out to viewers is that when you go online, if they wanted to go and check their pricing out, say for a lease, okay, and they said, okay, we come in, we saw on TV or we saw an ad in the newspaper, and these are the numbers that we want to come in, and this is what we want for the vehicle. I know that we just went over that. We said we can't get that vehicle for that actual price. So what happens then if you let that customer out? Is there anywhere where they can go online and check that actual price out, if it's a lease or a finance?
I mean, they could go to another dealer, but what I would recommend is your step program showing how easy it is to actually go and walk into a dealership, have your ducks in a row, and know what you're looking for.
Right, because there is no actual place online you can go and get that, because you're not a dealer, you're not signed up with the banks, you don't have actual software for everything that comes out, you don't have access to the manufacturers, to the dealer programs. I mean, these places that you see that are online don't have access to that, because when they sign up with the actual dealer, they're not allowed to disclose that at the same time. And we both worked in deals where that's happened, and it becomes to the mercy when they come in. They think they're talking to somebody in Fleet Mix, when they get directed to somebody out in the showroom, and they take their information, and then they sit them down and say, okay, fine, this is what you want, this is the payment, sign the buyer's order. The sales manager never signs the buyer's order, am I right?
Yep, half the time.
Right, because they still have to go in and they have to see the business manager, the pimp daddy, the car dealership. Okay, with the he's gonna tell you everything. He's gonna let you know everything that you need to know, and he's going to sell you stuff that you don't know about, as well as things that you thought you didn't need, but some way down the track they'll make it sound good enough that you do need that stuff, even though you really don't. Would that be a fair thing to say, Bob?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, as far as the business managers go, not a lot of people sort of have a window on how to go in and actually deal with those people. Where do you think most people sort of lose the drive on being able to negotiate, or be able to know whether they're getting something for real that is not going to come back and bite them in the rear end, or they just get smoke blown up their tailpipe, so to speak?
That's a tough one, Paul. I guess you really never know if you're getting a good deal.
Right.
When it comes down to the bottom line, it's just that you have to have faith in what you're doing, and there's so many easier ways to do it today with all the technology online, to be able to walk in and know exactly where you're going to be when you get to the dealership.
Right.
And there's going to be no questions asked.
Yeah, because most people today, they go online to the manufacturer's websites, and they can build the car themselves and get the actual manufacturer's suggested retail price. That's no problem. Then they go to, okay, let's shop around our local dealers and see what's at the local dealers. Then they look on the prices and pretty much match it up to the same as what you can see. And then they call, or they make the appointment, they come in, then they see the salesperson, they sit down, then they end up in the business manager's office. But, I'd say 99% or 95% of the people are going to go out from the business manager's office, thinking they got a great deal from the selling price, only to find out in the back end, which means the finance manager's office, that they made on a minimum, what would we say, about $900 on a minimum, going upwards to thousands?
I would actually say, yeah, probably today it's a little bit more, people a little bit more educated. It's probably 700 and up.
Right. So now, if they decided to say, okay, before I sign, Mr. Pimp Daddy, I want to be able to go out, take the day, think about it, and I'll come back and check the numbers out. And, we're going to say, well, what do you want to think about? If we can make the numbers be what you want them to be today, why wouldn't you want to take the vehicle home? And
right.
now, exactly. My question is, and you can tell all the viewers out there, why is the number one reason why we want to send the customer home right there and then with the vehicle when they're at the dealership?
Normally because we're making money at that point and we want the car off for property, and we don't want them to have to think about it and go over the numbers in their head at home.
Right, because if
get them on the road right then and there.
Right, because if you let them out, 90% of them would do what? They'd go to another dealership, check out another price, check out another price. But unfortunately for them, excuse me, there's still no way for them to know what the actual selling price, what the dealer pays for the vehicle, what the actual incentives are, because it's not available to them. So they would never know really exactly what actual deal are actually getting for the car they wanted to lease or finance, correct?
That is correct. Yep. Yes, it is.
Right. So since you said my book, you've looked at it, you thought it was pretty good. I'm not here to
make it any easier, Paul.
Right. I'm not here to promote it at all. What I'm doing is after 20-something odd plus years, I'm doing something. I want to be able to give back and show people like, look, this is what happens to you when you go to a car dealership. Okay. Here are cheat sheets you can use. You can download this off your phone. It's right in this book right here. They can go to the website. They can go to Amazon.com. But at the same time, it empowers them to, when they go to the dealership, that they can actually use those scripts that says, when you go in, ask for this, say that, fill in the order, fill in the numbers in the little columns there, and you should be good to go. If they use the scripts that I gave them, what are the chances of the salesperson or sales manager bowing down and feel cornered and checkmated once they start to use the lingo that I empower them with to use when they go there? So people are going to think they actually work for a dealership by asking those questions. What are the chances of those people getting the information that they need if they follow my directions on that actual on the book?
Well, your book makes it so simple, Paul. Pretty much, if you follow the forms like you had said, and you put that salesperson and that sales manager in a position, they're going to show you. They're going to come up with the invoice. They're going to show you what cost is. They're going to show you what holdback is. They're going to show you what the whole bottom line.
Right.
In order to try and make a deal with you today.
Right. And, everybody wants everything for nothing, and it doesn't happen that way because, there'd be no businesses. But, it's just the way the car industry, even from back home in Australia to, I guess anywhere in the world, nobody likes the car industry. Nobody likes the brush they're tarnished with. And that's the most skeptical shop I think that you could possibly go into to purchase something. And look, it's been that way. It's always going to remain that way. You're not going to change that. The way people can buy cars today, dealerships are never going to go away because you can't go online to test drive a freaking car. You still have to go to the dealership. But once you go to the dealership, you want to be able to go there armed with information that says, okay, if somebody's going to ask me this question, I have the actual answers. I have the actual right questions to ask in order for me to get the right information. Then once I have that, no matter what they say, if they send me home in the vehicle right there and then, of course there's profit left in the vehicle, in the deal, because you can go somewhere else and do it. That's the only reason we would want the vehicle off the lot, as well as get it out of inventory so we get allocated for another vehicle. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, absolutely. You have to sell them to earn some. Whatever you sell, you earn.
Right. I'll ask you another question. How many professional salespeople today, real professional salespeople on ratio, would you say are still in the business today? Would it be, I know it's not what it ever used to be. I mean, it used to be, you would have great salespeople who work in places. They were educated. They knew what they were talking about. And you could ask them a question about a vehicle and they would tell you every nut, bolt, and screw that pretty much worked in the vehicle. Today, I think that they just about pretty much hire anybody off the street. I mean, I think you can come out of jail and do your probation there.
You know what? They are the newer employees, salespeople, product specialists, whatever you'd like to call them.
Right.
They don't. They have to go through a series of training before they're normally let on the floor. But when you walk into a dealership and get one of these gentlemen or ladies that don't have any idea about the product knowledge, you just want to turn around, put your hat back on, and walk out the door.
Right.
On the other hand, you do have your product knowledge people that have been in the business for a long time. In the industry, you're probably at 3 or 4% of people that stay with the same dealership throughout their career.
Right. I just see if we got.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to scroll down for anybody's got any questions out there in regards to if they are currently in the market for a vehicle, or you're just about ready to sign for a vehicle. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them down below, and we'll see if we can answer them for you right here and now and straighten you out. Maybe save you, your wallet so it doesn't get taken for a test drive. What else was I going to say to you there, Bob? Is that today's people, when they do come in, they go purchase the vehicles and they drive them home. They come back. What percentage still remember what the salesperson's name was? They don't even remember.
You know what? It's a shame to say, but that's something that's fallen off big time.
Yeah.
Years ago, people would buy their cars or family cars from the same salesperson.
Right.
Today, with the turnover in the business, you never know who you're going to get. You can never find the person that sold you the last car.
Right.
So with that said, most customers come in and they really have no idea what their sales.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I would say 90%.
Right. So when you actually do go, when somebody comes in to buy a car, they're already coming in, driving on the lot. They've got their papers, they've got their information, and just before they enter the door, you've already sized them up to know whether look, I'm going to talk to this person or somebody else is going to talk to this person, and we need to the information that you would get out of that person unknowingly without them they think that you'll just be nice by saying, "Oh, g'day, Mary. Welcome to the dealership. This is Bob, your car sales manager. I'm going to be able to help you with the thing. Are we looking for a vehicle today for your daughter, your husband, any occasion or whatever?" We're trying to find out as much information out of them in 60 seconds or less, right?
Absolutely.
Because people want to come in, they want to kick tires, they think it's Hertz Rent-A-Car, and they just think, "Oh, I can go for a test drive," waste a salesperson's time without getting all the information. And the reason why salespeople do ask all the information is to qualify the buyer, to see that they're not just there to test drive the vehicle, even though that dealerships allow that. That's not a problem. But some people just come in, they want to drive, and then they just want to run right out the door because they're scared, because they don't know the next level to go to solidify and close that deal, even if they do have their numbers right there and then. That's where the salesperson comes in and says to me, "Okay, where are you trying to be? What's your numbers? If we can make it happen that way, would you take the vehicle home today?" All positive forward questions while you're nodding your head. And the person's already, drunk on emotion and intoxicated with numbers that the salesperson's already given them, that they don't know what to do. They'll sign anything to get out of there at that point in time. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. And I think that's, again, not to promote your book, Paul, but if you follow the simple steps and you print out the forms, when you walk into a dealership, it's going to make it so much easier on yourself, your family, and your friends.
Right, because some of the other dealerships we've worked in over the years, we've seen them come in, and we've seen how they've worked. And I've had people from customers that have been in the actual showroom have gone and knocked on my office door, that we're doing fleet because we don't deal with the public, and say, "Could you help me, or is there somebody else I can hear to speak with?" And I'd bring them into the office and say, "Well, what's the story? Maybe I can help you if you've got a quick question." And I'd only find out that, what we were just talking about now was absolutely happening to them. And they just felt like, they're in a foreign land, speaking a foreign language, and they're just waiting to get taken advantage of. And they feel very sort of violated, and they just want to curl up and leave because somebody shuts down like that. I mean, it's pretty hard to really open them back up. And you probably 90% of the time, you'll never see them back. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. 90% is probably even a little low.
Right. For the women, the ladies that are out there, the car sharks of the car pool, unbeknown to most male buyers, drivers out there, I hope you're all listening, because ladies, you are the 80% of the decision making when it comes to buying a vehicle. So when you go with your husband, you go with significant other or family or whatever it is, it's normally the ladies that can hold it together because they don't get so much drunk on the emotional side of the testosterone side as like the guys do. Oh, let's just buy the car and go. It's just like the women will sit down and they will negotiate. Well, they will want to negotiate. They're very hesitant about signing something straight away, and they want to sit back and they want to think about it. But 80% of the decision makers are women. Am I not right or wrong there, Bob?
Oh, absolutely, no doubt.
And it comes back to when the 80% that are the decision makers. There's only 38% of them, believe it or not. I don't know where I get these stats from, but you send them to me all the time. But it's true, is that only 30% of them, when they go to close the deal, feel confident enough to actually, go that next step and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I will sign it if I have it for this number, or this number. They don't have the actual information to guide them through the process. And just before I started this book out last year, I had a client, and she had not been to a car dealership without getting sort of harassed in some sort of way or whatever. And I said, look, take the book, use it. I said, just follow it to the T. Don't ask for anything else. Just follow everything to suit. She comes back. First off, before that, she was calling me crying on the phone. I thought she was a 1-800 crisis line looking for help. And she was crying. I couldn't understand. Then I got the word car and then leasing. I finally found out she was in the right place, but she was looking for help. I gave her the book. She went in. She used it. She called me back 3 days later and says, oh my God, Paul, you wouldn't believe what happened. I was like, oh my God, now what happened? And she said, you wouldn't believe the look on their faces when I actually used the information that you gave me. They looked at me and they said, are you in the auto industry? Do you work for another dealership? How do you know how to ask for all this information?
Exactly.
It's because unless you're in the business, we know right off the bat if you are educated enough to what numbers or what we're going to say to you next, you're going to understand. If we know in an inkling that you don't and you hesitate, it's pretty much over for the buyer, right or wrong.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt.
And you just let them talk more and more. So the more they talk, the more they're just going to bury themselves.
Yes, sir.
Right. So so that's why when getting back to this story is that she called me up and then she got back. She was all happy again. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. What happened? She goes like, look, I followed to the T. Even the sales manager come over and said, look, I don't know if you work in other dealerships or there's cameras like candid camera around. He goes like, but it's you pretty much know exactly what you need and what you're talking about in order for us to ask that, because nobody comes in here and asks for that. And she got that and she left and then she called me and then it was great. She ended up sending us the credit application. I looked on the application and it says, well, I have to use a different name because she's in law enforcement. And I looked and I said, Lisa, I said, you're in law enforcement? And I said, you were, you found it hard to go into a dealership and deal with that? She goes like, Paul, she goes, look, it's one thing when I have my uniform on, I'm conducting, it's my job. But when it's on my own personal time, she goes, I had a fear of going places and buying things, being, asking for things, because some people don't like arguments. Some people don't like confrontations or whatever. Her phobia happened to be going in and buying vehicles. I mean, enough to know the reputation is enough to scare anybody. But, when you're a woman, you sort of feel, that you go in there and feel like, oh, I know that they think I'm a woman coming in here. I don't know what I'm talking about. And they will try it on them just about every single time. Would that be right?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt.
It's what would you call it? It's like here come, you'd say, look, here comes a lay down, like, there's going to be an easy rollover to, make a lot of money on and send them home. Watch this. We're all going to the Bahamas on a trip after we get done with this customer.
It's so true, Paul.
Yeah. And unfortunately it is, but, so what happened with her, she told me that and she said, look, you know what, that's what happened. She goes, but you know what? She says, it not only changed the way I will go and buy a vehicle, but she goes, it gave me the confidence to look at things differently when I go out personally and just buy similar things, to look at me more educated and to slow down the process and not rush into something, because you don't need to rush into something if you already have the information up front. You go to the dealership with that information that's in the book here, which they can download and use on their phone. If you have that information, and you know that you are going to get the answers that's required, there should be no room or no reason for you to have to sign right there and then. You come back with the information. They go to our website and they go to the car price check page, and they send out the information to us. We sort it out. You know how it used to be when the people would come into our fleet dealership, and we check the price out and say, well, look, sales, the showroom gave it to you at X amount of dollars, but here's how much more we can save you. It can be hundreds to thousands of dollars more, and they don't have to pay for all the fees that would normally get charged at the front office at the dealership, right or wrong.
Absolutely, and that's again why your book for a small fee, you have all this information that could save you hundreds to thousands of dollars by just getting the book, printing out the forms, and not only in the car industry, like you had mentioned before, Paul. Any purchase you make in your life, this just makes you look a lot more educated, a lot more comfortable in front of a salesperson.
I mean, look at when people go to buy a house. I mean, you don't go out with the realtor and just go, okay, I'll buy it, or how much is it? Oh, it's that. Okay, fine. You're not going to go and do that. You're going to go look at the house. You're going to go back. You want to get a professional to go and check it out to make sure you're going to spend $300, $400, $500, $600, $1,000, whatever it is, to go and have that property checked out before you want to purchase it. I mean, it's the same as going to court. You're not going to go to court without your lawyer. You're not going to go and let Dr. Ginzu chop off your freaking leg without getting a second opinion. So why is it that when it comes to the second biggest purchase of their life, 95% of people don't check before they sign? It's because they don't have the necessary information or where to go or what to use to actually find that out. So that's why I created, this show as Never Get Taken for a Ride Again. So where they can come, they can tell us what's going on, what hardships they've had with dealerships, or they're a first time buyer, and we can educate them in the right way. And, we can get answers back from you. I can ask the questions for them, and, it'll shed a little bit more light on the client when they go there, knowing that, what's actually going to happen to them.
Agreed.
So in closing, I just wanted people to know from the horse's mouth exactly what does go on when they go into the dealership. One, the percentage of them walking out with the price I think they were going to get is like almost zero. When they go into the business manager's office, them leaving there without signing extra stuff is almost zero. So the average, because the business managers, they live on a commission. If they don't if they're not making 700s upwards on a deal, where are they going? They're going home with the customer because you're going to get fired. Exactly. That's part of the job. To hustle. I just wanted to make it clear to our viewers out there that these things do go on. They're real. It happens everywhere in the United States. It happens everywhere back home in Australia, and I'm sure it happens in Europe or wherever you're living in your neck of the woods. But you can prevent all this if you have the information when you go in there up front, and for a couple of bucks. I mean, I made it affordable for people out there that here, it's $20. Go do that. It's not. That wouldn't even be enough gas in their car to go somewhere from dealership to dealership. I said, when you only need to go to one, get the information, come back with it, and we'll just punch it in and we'll just check it out for you. I mean, it's simple. I mean, look, how many people today don't have the time to go around a shop, but they want the price, like right there, give it to me right now. And then when they get it, then they don't know what to do with it. They go like, well, now what do I do with it? Oh, let me go check somewhere else. Then they go in the dealership with somebody else's complete numbers, and then half the stuff that they get is not what the information that they need. And you're only going to let a person. Let me ask you another question. This will be clarified for everybody. How many people would you let out of the dealership with all the information that they need if they're not buying the car right there and then today? Would you let them out with everything that they need?
Oh, absolutely not.
Because you'd never see them again, right?
You'd never see them again.
Right. So when they come home and they get that scribbled piece of paper and they call us up sometimes, they go like, look, I was just at ABC Motors and I spoke with Bob, the sales manager, bloody good guy. But, he gave us these numbers here and we're wondering what the best price is. Well, okay, shoot them over to us and we'll let them look. And all we got was just the outskirts of what it was. And it's vague. It says the payment, says the number on it. But then when they go into the business manager's office, then it's, it turns from apples to oranges.
Every time, Paul.
And they go out skidding out of there on a banana peel.
Yes, sir.
So, all right. So anyway, Bob, thank you for staying with us late this evening. It was a bit of a setback here with
me, Paul. It was great to hear from you again.
With the setup here. It was great talking to you. And hopefully hopefully we'll be able to have you back on shortly. And if we have any live customers on there, we'll set it up at an earlier date. I'll bring some people on and we can do a 3-way or a 4-way on there, and we can really show people what it's all about when they go to purchase or lease a new vehicle.
My pleasure, Paul.
All right, Bob. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it, and happy selling. Okay. Thanks, mate. Cheers. Okay, so I'm sorry for the late delay that we had there this evening. I never get taken for a ride again. What you can do if you do want to go to the website, I'm just trying to pull this up here so we can find out the information. Give me 1 second. I do apologize. There we go. If you want to go to the website at carleasingconcierge.com, we are more than happy to help you out. You can also get the download for the book, How to Beat the Car Dealer Every Time. It's so simple. It's ridiculous. And believe me, it really is. And if it doesn't help you, send us your receipt and I'll be more than happy to refund your money back. Wow, 100%. We're just here to educate you. What I've learned in the 20-something odd plus years in the auto industry, it's nice to be able to give back and be able to see some people be able to go out there and buy something without feeling like they're violated in some sort of way, they're skeptical in some sort of way, because after all, the second biggest purchase in your life, an automobile, it should be a joyous occasion. It should be fun. You should be going out of there feeling, oh, wow, I can't wait to get this home, put it in my driveway, instead of waking up the next day and go like, oh my God, what did I just do? What happened? So, you just need to slow it down before you go to the car dealership. Go prepared. Okay, if you, like I've said, if you're unsure, you can always go to our website. At the same time, also, if somebody ever says to you, would you like to take it home right now today? Please don't take it home today, no matter what they say. It's the last one of the lot. It's the last day of the year. Look, they will tell you anything that is possible if you're gullible enough to believe it, to take it home that day. Because look, 95 to 96% of you are going to wake up the next day and find yourself on the corner of Buyers Remorse Boulevard and Sucker Street. If you don't want to do that, simply get some professional advice and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Or no matter what state you're in, there are car concierges, there are car brokers that can help you out. There's many different ways they can help you out. But if they're not going to give you a full printout report, okay, then don't sign anything. Don't give them any money in any way, because otherwise then they're getting paid in other areas that you don't know about at the same time, and it only gets added onto your selling price of the vehicle. So the next time you go filling something in online, just be careful, because all it's going to do is give your information to the dealer, and then you're going to have a fan club in the worst possible way from, everybody from Timbuktu, the dealership, to calling you 24/7. So if you don't want that to happen, slow the process down and go online, go to the manufacturers themselves. You can build a car right online. It shows you. It's very, very simple. And then when you get that, go to the dealerships, look online, your closest places. I suggest that, like I said, before you go there, arm yourself with the right information. And then once you go there, it's going to make your life a lot easier, a hell of a lot easier. You'll never buy a vehicle the same way again. I mean, I put 25 years of everything that you could possibly do, that you couldn't possibly make this stuff up, because you'd make a movie out of it. It's so ridiculous. But unfortunately, these things do happen. And when you do read it, when you do download it, you'll look in there and go like, you know what? That's happened to me. And I've always been wondering, how do I get around that? What's the answer to that? Well, you can have all the answers. So anyway, folks, I'm not going to keep on about this. It's been a late get together this afternoon with this. Next week, we're going to have some ladies on the show, and they're going to explain how their process is when they go shopping for an automobile and the not so good stories that they have been through. And I'm sure that a lot of people out there can relate to that. So we're going to go over that next week, and we will be able to go in depth. And anybody else that's out there that is going through the same sort of buying process and they're stuck, we should be able to answer those for you right there and then. So until next week, it's been great. It's a great start. And looking down the road, like we'll have finance managers. We're going to have people that are in the armed services on how they go about purchasing vehicles and how they get misled. There's all sorts of different things that we're going to be having coming up in the brand new year. But that's just the short intro today. The new premiere, I'm sorry, like I said, once again, it got off to a late start, but we did get it going. And I'd just like to thank Bob again for taking the time out to help us. So, all right, people. Thank you very much. It's been great talking to you. I hope that you got some information out of this, and we'll see you on the next episode next week. Okay, that's it for now. Talk to you soon. All right, cheers from New York.